Hello, Jerry here. Welcome back to my studio. Today we're painting a quiet kitchen interior full of soft light, gentle shadows and those subtle shifts between warm and cool tones that make a simple domestic scene come alive. It's a pared back composition designed to give us space to explore atmosphere, blending and tonal variation across the larger surfaces. I've kept the structure of the scene intentionally minimal so we can really focus on how the sunlight moves through the space, how it hits the walls, plays across the tiles and interacts with the wooden textures. It's a lovely subject for practicing expressive brushwork without getting tangled in detail. I'll also show you a pen drawing of the scene in case you'd like to use it as a guide for your own outline before you start painting. And as always, all the sections I talk through in this video, composition, tonal planning, colour choices and finishing touches, are listed as chapters in the description below, so you can easily revisit any part of the process later. Well, I hope that drawing was helpful. Here's a pencil drawing, and just going to start painting now. I'm going to be starting with the walls either side of the window, and probably most areas will be getting two washes, so this will seem quite dark initially going on, but it will dry out much lighter and will require another wash. Payne's grey, using a medium sized mop, just being careful to get these lines nice and crisp. They're dark against the light of the window, and that was raw sienna, pretty much the same consistency as the blue and burnt sienna. All looks a bit of a mess at the start, but it'll look a lot better when it dries out. I like to with this type of composition, I like to try and paint fairly quickly. What I don't want is the paint drying and having edges. And also, as I always say about not fiddling, just going over once if possible, and then moving on to the next area. Raw sienna and touch of cadmium red. These emeralds, especially in the corner here, are going to be quite a bit lighter in tone, and a nice contrast. I'm not going to be using too many different colours in this particular painting. I like to try different things for you, and in painting an interior, I thought would be something different on this occasion. It's just a simple image of a kitchen, a few pots and pans on the shelves. Pretty much using the same 3 or 4 colours, although we'll be introducing some green into it as well. Just leaving those areas where there's things on shelves white. Still using the large or the medium sized mop. It's got quite a nice point on it. Can do quite intricate work with it. As I said before, trying to keep the consistency pretty much the same working fast but trying to be accurate with these white areas that I've marked in pencil. Just leaving a few white bits on the walls as well, as you can see, fluctuating between cool and warm colours. Still very wet. Going over with some French ultramarine. If you're going to be having a go yourself, you can vary these colours, do your own thing. I think it's quite exciting doing these type of paintings where you're dipping into your colours quite rapidly and not really seeing the true result till it's dried out. Everything's till the paint's dried out. Always looks a bit garish first of all, and then it'll all tone down and blend in. Just going around these bits and pieces on the under the counter, under the worktop. Moving to a small round brush. This is Jean Brilliant colour with lots of water. Just want the hint of this colour showing when it dries out. And bring some green, mixing it with the blue mixture. And that sap green, very watery. Just painting in the panel beneath the window. And mixing a shadow colour up, alizarin crimson and cobalt blue. Excellent mixture of colours for shadows. And then letting the wall mixture run into the shadow and add into it, just to make it interesting. Don't just want an area all the same colour. And then there's these window bars, which I'm going to be bringing in at the start of this painting. This will help for the 3D effect with the sunlight reflecting onto the tiled floor. As you can see, I've just been dipping into the blue mixture on the palette and the Chambray. Trying to keep working as much as possible before I dry things off. Doing these utensils and pots and things on the right hand wall, doing the shadows of them. Really just putting in shapes, and then at the end your eyes kind of make into whatever you want, really. Pots and pans hanging up. And this is light red I'm using for these earthenware pots stacked up on the shelf. Just touching it with some kitchen roll there, just to take off a bit of the red colour. Want that to appear to have the light reflecting on the front of the pots as well. And there's another couple of pots, and be giving that the same treatment. Putting the tissue on there and just taking the paint off. Now moving down to the counter and the small steps leaning against the countertop, and this is done with raw umber and raw sienna. Leaving lots of white. I'm going to do these step ladders, reflecting the light from the window. And varying the browns as well, using raw umber as well as raw sienna. Using Payne's grey to paint some of the other pots and cups and things on the worktop on the counter. just using a small round brush, raw umber. This is just another of those pots on the top shelf, and just adding a bit of reflection, or giving the appearance of a bit of reflected light by putting the tissue on it. Not making too much of these, not fussing. You can see already with this first wash everywhere that how the atmosphere is starting to build. Intense sunlight coming in through the window, shadows on the floor, and the light reflecting on the worktop and the utensils, pots and pans. And this is panelling below the window. I will be painting over this so that it will lose that crispness of the lines there. Raw sienna, raw umber. Very thick mixture. Just doing the timbers at the window. Nice and dark. Used a very fine brush. The probably this one of the smallest round brushes that I've got, and this is a rigger brush. Just doing some of the light to the shutter door. Mixture of darks, Payne's grey, neutral tint. Then there's a door on the left-hand wall. Going to be painting in the the outline of the door and the panels before it's painting over, which will lose the hardness of those lines a bit. Just remember to keep the perspective going. Quite like painting these interior scenes with the light flooding in through the windows. I've painted quite a few different paintings, people in, objects, restaurants and things, people sitting in there with the light on them. Now this is dried, so it's okay to go over with the darker colour. Now packing in the darks now. Payne's Grey, French Ultramarine. Using a small brush to just continue with these utensils and things hanging up, and then I've let it dry before the next stage gets to the point where you need to dry it off, because you start getting cauliflowers in the paintwork. And also, if you're like me, the way I paint, my hand will go onto the wet paint and start smudging it. Just darkening those colours there, using pretty much the same combination of colours throughout. Mixing some green, sap green in with the blue mixture. That's the green light flooding in for the window. Maybe there's trees, bushes that you can't see the other side of the window. If you do like these kind of subjects, interiors, do let me know. Work out some new compositions, do some more. Good practice with your colour blending. You can see how much lighter it's dried out now. I just want a flash of red there on that front wall. Going in with nice strong colours. Raw sienna, raw umber. Going over all the original wash of predominantly raw sienna. Do get a bit of time to go over these wet areas, and I'm not changing brushes. I'm just putting the brush in the water pot and wiping it out on a flat sponge that I have on the table, and bringing in the cooler colours. French ultramarine mixed with some raw umber. And get nice and dark around these shelves and pots. Move to using a smaller brush on this occasion, not the mop. I've got time to work with this now. I want to keep dipping into different colours, so it's a smaller brush to wash out as we go. Still keeping these little white flashes. This is using the shadow colour that I like to use, alizarin crimson, cobalt blue. Once again, not spending a lot of time on each area, just moving down purposefully. But varying those colours, light and dark, warm and cold. Working slow enough to paint around those white areas that are there. Reflections and things in the kitchen on the wall, which should be showing up as white. Nice and dark around these pots. Quite effective. Bit of watery paint there. Adding to the shadows, the light coming into the room. Get nice and dark. Sap green with the blue and raw sienna at the base, continuing that theme of warm and cool. And make this quite dark on this left hand side wall, reds, blues, some earth colours. Working quite fast with the mixture. The colour I use for the shadows, alizarin crimson, cobalt blue going in there. Those nice dark edges going up the up against the window frame there. Really effective and give the illusion of bright light. And then doing the same thing with the shadow again there with the alizarin crimson, cobalt blue, and putting some warm in there with burnt sienna. Just letting the colours merge. Just darkening up these shadows as well. When they dry out, they'll dry a little bit lighter and they'll look quite effective. I've let that dry, and because I want the white bits to show out, I'm just losing those pencil marks I kept there, so which gave me a good guide of where not to put paint. Small brush, just doing the darks of these pots. Most of them are red and much lighter where the light catches it. And then under the shelves would be darker, where the shadow's deeper. As I said, I'm not really fussing around painting pots and things hanging up and knives and that, just doing a suggestion of some things there, and then when it dries, the painting's finished, and you look at it, it'll be whatever you want it to be in your imagination. leaving the light areas showing on these steps. Just having a look around the painting, see where it needs a bit of finishing off. And where I've gone over the pots with the red paint, just with clean water, just touching the wet paint and blending it. Finally removing the tape to reveal the finished painting, and you'll agree that there's quite a nice atmosphere there in this kitchen, with the sun shining through onto the surfaces, and an interesting subject to paint. See you again next time. Goodbye.